Introduction. Think of a tug-of-war. On one side, you have your desire for financial security, your long-term goals. On the other, you have the constant pull of immediate gratification, the allure of that new gadget, the temptation of dining out. Willpower is like pulling on that rope with all your might. It's exhausting, and eventually, you're likely to lose. We often see people starting strong with their finances, only to be derailed by unexpected expenses or impulsive purchases. They blame themselves, but the problem isn't a lack of willpower, it's a lack of systems. This audiobook is your guide to building those systems. It's about creating a financial environment that supports your goals, making saving and investing automatic, even enjoyable. It's about replacing the struggle of willpower with the power of consistent habits. Building on what we just uncovered, it is time to address your personal why. Why do you want to be wealthy? Is it for yourself, your family, or a cause you believe in? Consider a time when you experienced financial stress. How did it impact your life? What would it have been like to have the resources to handle that situation with ease? What really makes the difference is identifying the core values that are driving your why. Another critical element is writing down your why and keeping it in a place where you will see it every day. The first thing to understand is that your why will be the foundation upon which you build your financial systems. Forget the exhausting tug-of-war. Embrace the power of systems driven by purpose. Intentional systems build intentional wealth. Purpose drives process. With that foundation firmly in place, let's dive into why willpower, despite its allure, is a flawed strategy for building wealth. Think of willpower as a battery. It starts strong, but gradually drains throughout the day as you make decisions and resist temptations. By the time you get home from work, your willpower battery is often running on empty, making it much harder to resist that impulse purchase or skip that workout. We often see individuals relying solely on willpower to stick to their budgets, constantly battling the urge to spend. This constant battle leads to mental fatigue and eventually burnout. In contrast, systems automate the process, removing the need for constant decision-making and willpower exertion. Consider automating your savings. It occurs before you even see the money, eliminating the temptation to spend it. Now think back to a time when you tried to achieve a financial goal through sheer willpower. What were the results? What challenges did you face? Where did you struggle? Consider now what you would do differently. The first thing to understand is that willpower is a finite resource, not a limitless well. Beyond that, consider identifying your biggest willpower challenges and seeking alternative, system-based solutions. The final piece of this puzzle involves reframing your mindset. Instead of viewing financial success as a matter of personal strength, see it as a matter of strategic design. Relying on willpower is a recipe for inconsistency and frustration. Creating habit-based systems is the key to lasting financial success. Systems sustain. Willpower wanes. Automate, don't frustrate. Now, understanding the theory is one thing, but applying it is quite another. So let's talk about why focusing on systems is superior to simply setting financial goals. Think about it like this. Goals are the destination. Systems are the roadmap. You can have a clear goal of saving $100,000. But without a system for saving consistently, tracking your progress, and adjusting your strategy, you're likely to wander aimlessly. We often see people fixating on the outcome, the amount of money they want to save, while neglecting the process, the daily and weekly habits that will get them there. This outcome-focused approach can lead to frustration and discouragement when progress is slow or setbacks occur. In contrast, a system-focused approach emphasizes the process, making progress automatic and sustainable. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. The pros understand that the system times the goal. Another critical element is viewing setbacks not as failures, but as opportunities to refine your system. The first thing to understand is that systems provide structure and consistency, making progress feel almost inevitable. Think now of a goal you have achieved that you're very proud of. Don't focus on the outcome itself, but on the daily habits and routines that made it possible. What system did you have in place to help you achieve that goal? Beyond that, consider designing systems that align with your values and your why. What habits will bring you closer to the life you want to live? Chasing goals alone is like sailing without a rudder. Building systems is building financial seaworthiness. Focus on process, not just outcome. Systematize success. Let's take this a step further and preview what's to come. Over the following chapters, we'll explore the core systems you need to build lasting wealth. This isn't just about abstract theory. It's about providing you with concrete strategies and actionable steps that you can implement immediately. We'll delve into the 5 key areas of wealth-building habits. First, we'll explore systems for automating your savings, making paying yourself first effortless. Second, we will analyze systems for mindful spending, ensuring that your money is aligned with your values. Third, we'll uncover systems for debt management, helping you eliminate high-interest debt and build a solid financial foundation. Fourth, systems for smart investing, turning your savings into a growing asset. And fifth, systems for continuous learning and adaptation, because the financial landscape is always evolving. The final piece of this puzzle involves understanding this audiobook provides the blueprint, but you provide the action. The first thing to understand is we're not offering a quick fix, but a sustainable strategy for long-term financial success. Beyond that, consider how the concepts within this book can positively impact your life, your family, and those around you. Think now about one area of your financial life where you feel most frustrated. What would it feel like to master that aspect of your money? By focusing on systems, you can create a predictable plan that will lead to financial freedom. This audiobook provides the roadmap. You provide the journey. Financial systems create sustainable wealth. Learn, build, thrive. Chapter 1. The Habit Foundation. Why habits matter. Think about a single drop of water. Insignificant, right? But over time, those drops can carve canyons, power turbines, and shape entire landscapes. This is the power of compounding, not just in finance, but also in habits. Small, consistent actions, seemingly insignificant on their own, accumulate over time, leading to extraordinary results. We often see people underestimating the impact of small daily habits, focusing instead on grand gestures and dramatic changes. They might save aggressively for a month, only to abandon their efforts when life gets busy. Or they might try to eliminate all unnecessary expenses at once, leading to burnout and frustration. The power of consistent habits, over time, creates momentum that builds wealth. Consider now a successful person that you admire. Imagine what their daily routine and habits consist of that you may not know about. The first thing to understand is that habits are the building blocks of your financial future. Another critical element is focusing on building 1 or 2 key habits at a time, rather than trying to overhaul your entire life. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs chase quick wins, pros build consistent habits. The final piece of this puzzle involves tracking your daily expenses for a week. This will reveal your current habit patterns, both good and bad. Seeing where your money is actually going is the first step toward taking control. Small, consistent habits are far more powerful than grand gestures. Build financial wealth with incremental gains. Consistent habits compound. Building on what we just uncovered, let's explore the science behind habit formation. Understanding how habits are formed in the brain can empower you to build better financial systems. Think of every habit as a loop consisting of 3 parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue is the trigger that initiates the behavior. The routine is the behavior itself. And the reward is the positive reinforcement that strengthens the connection between the cue and the routine. We often see people struggling to break bad habits without understanding this loop. They might try to stop impulse spending without identifying the cues that trigger it, or the rewards they're seeking. By understanding the cue routine reward loop, you can consciously modify your habits and create more effective financial systems. Another critical element is realizing that habits are deeply ingrained neural pathways. The stronger the pathway, the more automatic the habit becomes. Think now of one unhealthy habit you would like to eliminate. Don't focus on the act itself, but on the moments before and after the act takes place. What are the cues and the rewards linked to that habit? The first thing to understand is that by changing any part of the habit loop, you can change the habit itself. Beyond that, consider identifying the cues that trigger your unhealthy financial habits and finding ways to avoid or modify them. Understanding the science of habit formation empowers you to build better financial systems. Master the loop, control your habits, cue, routine, reward, evolve. As we move from the why into the how, let's discuss the power of small, incremental improvements. Forget dramatic transformations. Think 1% better each day. This concept, inspired by the principles of compounding, suggests that consistent, small improvements accumulate over time, leading to exponential growth. We often see people becoming discouraged when they don't see immediate results. They might start a new budget, only to abandon it after a week when they haven't saved a significant amount of money. However, the power of small improvements lies in their cumulative effect. Saving just $1 per day may seem insignificant, but over a year, that adds up to $365, plus any interest earned. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. The amateurs seek overnight success. The pros embrace continuous improvement. Another critical element is focusing on consistency over intensity. Small daily actions are far more effective than sporadic bursts of effort. The first thing to understand is that even tiny improvements can lead to significant results over time. Beyond that, consider focusing on one key area where you can make a 1% improvement each day. Think now, what one small action can you take today that will make you 1% better financially? It might be skipping that daily latte, transferring $5 to your savings account, or reading one article about investing. Envision yourself completing that task and experiencing the satisfaction of making progress, no matter how small. Small daily improvements, consistently applied, create exponential financial growth. Consistent improvement equals financial empowerment. 1% today, infinite potential tomorrow. Here's where things get interesting. It's time to discuss how to align your habits with your desired identity. It's not enough to simply do the right things. You must become the person who effortlessly builds wealth. Think about it. Are you trying to force yourself to save money? Or do you identify as someone who is naturally frugal and financially responsible? We often see people struggling to maintain good financial habits because they haven't internalized the beliefs and values of a financially successful person. They might view saving as a sacrifice rather than an opportunity. Or they might see investing as a risky gamble rather than a strategic way to build wealth. The final piece of this puzzle involves asking yourself, what would a financially successful person do? Another critical element is surrounding yourself with people who embody those qualities. The first thing to understand is that your habits are a reflection of your identity. Let's pause for a moment. Think now about someone who is extremely good with money. What qualities does that person possess? Is that person disciplined? Is that person well-read? Beyond that, consider taking on one habit of a financially secure individual. Read a chapter of a financial book daily, automate saving directly from each paycheck, and spend 10 minutes a day reviewing your budget. By aligning your habits with your desired identity, you can transform your financial life from a struggle into a natural expression of who you are. Financial transformation begins with personal transformation. Be the wealth. That brings us to a pivotal question most people overlook. How do we actually break bad financial habits and replace them with positive ones? One powerful framework is the 4 laws of behavior change, which provides a practical guide for designing effective interventions. These laws center around cue, craving, response, and reward, and here's how they can apply to your financial life. We often see people trying to break bad habits simply by relying on willpower, without addressing the underlying cues and rewards that drive those behaviors. They might try to stop impulse spending without identifying the triggers that lead to it. Let's pause for a moment. Picture yourself successfully conquering a bad financial habit. Feel the relief, the control, the positive momentum. The first thing to understand is to make it obvious. Design your environment to make the positive habits more visible and the negative habits less visible. Another critical element is to make it attractive. Pair the positive habit with something you enjoy. What are some strategies to link pleasure and money, for example, or make saving a reward? Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs only work hard. The pros engineer their environment to make financial success almost effortless. The final piece of this puzzle involves making it easy. Reduce the friction associated with the positive habits. For example, automate saving. Breaking bad financial habits and replacing them with good ones requires a strategic approach focused on cues, cravings, and rewards. Engineer your habits, design your wealth. Make it obvious. Make it attractive. Make it easy. Make it satisfying. Chapter 2. Financial Awareness. Know your numbers. Imagine navigating a ship without instruments. You'd be adrift, with no idea of your course or destination. Many people manage their finances the same way, without a clear understanding of where their money is actually going. That's why financial awareness, starting with tracking your expenses, is so crucial. Think of it as installing a GPS for your financial life. We often see people setting budgets without first understanding their spending patterns. They might arbitrarily cut expenses, only to find themselves overspending in other areas. Or they might be completely unaware of the small, seemingly insignificant expenses that add up over time. Before we go further, think about your current level of financial awareness. Do you know exactly where your money goes each month? If yes, that's great. If not, that is totally normal. You are about to find out. Another critical element is that by tracking your spending, you gain valuable insights into your financial habits, both good and bad. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. The amateurs guess. The pros track, analyze, and optimize. Nice. The first thing to understand is that financial awareness is the foundation upon which all successful financial systems are built. The final piece of this puzzle involves committing to tracking every single expense, no matter how small, for one full week. Start today. Tracking your expenses is the first step toward taking control of your financial life and building a sustainable path to wealth. Know your numbers. Control your destiny. Track, analyze, thrive. Building on what we just uncovered, let's explore a fundamental principle of wealth building. Income must exceed expenses. This might seem obvious, but it's surprising how many people overlook this basic equation. We often see individuals focusing on increasing their income while neglecting their spending habits. They might work longer hours or take on extra jobs, only to see their increased earnings swallowed up by lifestyle inflation and unnecessary expenses. Or they may focus solely on cutting expenses and ignore any opportunities to increase income. Both actions are necessary. Think now about where you want to be financially in 5 years. If nothing changes, will you get there at your current pace and monthly cash flow? The first thing to understand is that having an honest and realistic assessment of your income and expenses is essential for building a sustainable financial future. Another critical element is analyzing your cash flow to identify areas where you can increase income, decrease spending, or both. What's the plan to generate more cash flow that becomes wealth? The final piece of this puzzle involves calculating your current monthly income and expenses. List every source of income, then list all of your expenses. Managing your finances effectively starts with a clear understanding of your cash flow. Maximize income, minimize expenses. Cash flow creates wealth flow. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more to assessing financial health than just cash flow. So let's delve into another crucial metric: net worth. Net worth is simply the difference between your assets, what you own, and your liabilities, what you owe. It provides a snapshot of your overall financial standing, revealing whether you're truly building wealth or just treading water. We often see people focusing solely on their income and overlooking their debt. They might earn a good salary, but if they're burdened with high levels of debt, their net worth could be surprisingly low. Or they might overestimate the value of their assets, failing to account for depreciation or market fluctuations. The first thing to understand is that tracking your net worth allows you to monitor your progress over time and identify areas where you need to make adjustments. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs focus on income. The pros focus on net worth. Think now of what would bring you the biggest sense of personal financial confidence: a high income or a strong and steadily growing net worth? Another critical element is understanding that building net worth is a marathon, not a sprint. It requires patience, discipline, and a long-term perspective. The final piece of this puzzle involves calculating your current net worth. List all of your assets, including cash, investments, real estate, and personal property. Then, list all of your liabilities, including mortgages, loans, and credit card debt. Subtract your liabilities from your assets to arrive at your net worth. Knowing your net worth provides a comprehensive view of your financial health and helps you set realistic goals for the future. Track it and grow it. Assets minus liabilities equals prosperity. Let's take this a step further and discuss budgeting. But not the restrictive, guilt-inducing budgeting you might be dreading. We're talking about a flexible, habit-based approach that avoids strict limitations and embraces strategic allocation. Think of it as creating a financial roadmap, not building a financial prison. We often see people viewing budgeting as a form of deprivation, a constant battle against their desires. They might set unrealistic spending limits, only to break them and feel discouraged. Or they might focus solely on cutting expenses, neglecting the importance of aligning their spending with their values. The final piece of this puzzle involves focusing on intentional spending, not just restrictive budgeting. Think of it as proactively managing your money, rather than reactively limiting it. The first thing to understand is that a successful budget is one that you can actually stick to, not one that looks perfect on paper. Beyond that, consider using the 50-30-20th rule as a starting point for allocating your money. 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings and debt repayment. Before we go any further, consider how you want your money to support your passions. Envision yourself spending money on things that give you joy, knowing that your needs and savings are also taken care of. Smart allocation beats strict limitation. Budget to achieve financial freedom. Allocate, not restrict. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more. It is time to identify key financial metrics to track your progress and hold you accountable. Think of it as installing a financial dashboard in your life, providing real-time feedback on your performance. We often see people setting financial goals without establishing clear metrics to measure their progress. They might aim to save a certain amount of money, but fail to track their savings rate. Or they might want to pay off debt, but neglect to monitor their debt-to-income ratio. Tracking helps stay on course. Think now about the feeling of accomplishment you get when you hit a personal goal. Imagine that feeling applied to achieving your financial goals. The first thing to understand is that tracking key metrics provides valuable insights into your financial performance and helps you identify areas where you need to make adjustments. Another critical element is establishing baseline measurements for these metrics. This will allow you to track your progress over time and celebrate your successes. Some key financial metrics to track include your savings rate, your debt-to-income ratio, and your investment returns. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs set goals and forget them. Pros track results and iterate. By tracking key financial metrics, you gain valuable insights and stay motivated on your journey toward financial freedom. Track to unlock wealth. Metrics matter. Chapter 3. Saving systems. Automate your way to wealth. Imagine a garden that waters itself. No daily effort required, just consistent, automated nourishment that allows it to flourish. That's the power of automating your savings. It transforms saving from a chore into an effortless, almost invisible process that consistently builds your wealth. We often see people intending to save, but consistently failing to do so because they rely on willpower and manual transfers. They might plan to save whatever is left over at the end of the month, but often find that there's nothing left. This approach puts saving at the bottom of the priority list. We propose putting it on top of the list. Automate it. Before we go any further, envision yourself a year from now looking back and realizing that you've accumulated significant savings effortlessly. How does it make you feel? The first thing to understand is that automating your savings is the cornerstone of building a solid financial foundation. Another critical element is treating your savings as a non-negotiable expense, just like rent or utilities. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs spend, then save. Pros save, then spend. The final piece of this puzzle involves setting up an automatic transfer from your checking account to a savings or investment account. Start small if needed, but make it automatic. Automating your savings transforms saving from a chore into a consistent, effortless habit. Set it and forget it. Automation builds wealth. Building on what we just uncovered, let's talk about the importance of having an emergency fund. Think of it as a financial safety net, ready to catch you when unexpected expenses arise. A well-funded emergency fund can prevent you from going into debt or derailing your financial progress. We often see people facing unexpected expenses, such as car repairs or medical bills, and having to resort to credit cards or loans to cover them. This can lead to a cycle of debt and financial stress. Or they delay important needs due to a lack of easily accessible cash. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs react to financial emergencies. The pros prepare. The first thing to understand is that an emergency fund provides peace of mind, knowing that you're prepared for the unexpected. Think now about the financial stress of the last unexpected bill you had to deal with. What impact would an emergency fund have had on that situation? Another critical element is determining your target emergency fund amount. A general rule of thumb is to aim for 3 to 6 months of living expenses. The final piece of this puzzle involves prioritizing building your emergency fund before investing heavily. Once this is achieved, the focus shifts to wealth acceleration. An emergency fund is your financial first line of defense. Preparedness equals peace of mind. As we move from the why into the how, let's talk about setting SMART savings goals. SMART, as you may know, stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. This framework provides clarity and motivation, transforming your savings from a vague intention into a concrete plan. We often see people setting vague savings goals, such as, "I want to save more money." These goals lack specificity and measurability, making it difficult to track progress and stay motivated. Or, we see individuals aiming for goals that are unrealistic. The first thing to understand is that SMART goals provide direction and focus, helping you stay on track. What is one thing you would like to save for in the next year that you can truly get excited about? Another critical element is breaking down your larger goals into smaller, manageable steps. This makes the process less overwhelming and more achievable. The final piece of this puzzle involves making your savings goals visible and tracking your progress regularly. This helps to maintain momentum and stay motivated. Before we go any further, reflect on what a sense of financial security would provide in your life. What opportunities would open up? SMART savings goals provide clarity and motivation, turning vague intentions into concrete plans. Save SMART, achieve more. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Here's where things get interesting. Let's discuss dollar cost averaging, or DCA. Think of it as a disciplined and automated approach to investing that reduces risk and simplifies the process. Instead of trying to time the market, you invest a fixed amount of money at regular intervals, regardless of market fluctuations. We often see people paralyzed by fear when it comes to investing, worrying about buying at the wrong time. They might try to predict market movements, only to make emotional decisions that lead to losses. Others only invest when times are good and everyone else is doing it, buying high and selling low. DCA simplifies investing. The first thing to understand is DCA eliminates the need to time the market, reducing stress and emotional decision-making. It allows you to build wealth gradually over time. What level of wealth are you hoping to achieve? Another critical element is DCA can be fully automated, making it a hands-off investment strategy. The final piece of this puzzle involves researching different investment options and finding one that aligns with your risk tolerance and financial goals. Then, set up automatic investments using the principles of DCA. DCA simplifies investing and reduces risk by automating regular investments, regardless of market fluctuations. Automate and accumulate. Consistent investing builds wealth. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more. Let's explore high-yield savings accounts and other strategies to earn more interest on your savings. Think of it as optimizing your savings engine, making your money work harder for you. We often see people leaving their savings in low-interest accounts, effectively losing money to inflation. They might be unaware of the higher-yielding options available, or they might assume that switching accounts is too complicated. The first thing to understand is that earning more interest on your savings can significantly accelerate your wealth-building process. Think now. What would you do with the additional income generated by higher-yielding savings accounts? Another critical element is comparing interest rates from different banks and credit unions. Even a small difference in interest rates can add up over time. The final piece of this puzzle involves considering other strategies to earn more interest on your savings, such as certificates of deposit or money market accounts. What is the cost of inertia versus the benefit of proactively seeking the highest yield for your savings? Maximize interest, accelerate growth. Smart savings multiply wealth. Chapter 4. Debt elimination, breaking free from financial chains. Imagine being shackled by heavy chains, each link representing a debt that weighs you down. That's the reality for many people struggling with debt. The good news is that you can break free from these financial chains and regain control of your life. The path to freedom starts with a plan. We often see people feeling overwhelmed by their debt, unsure of where to even begin. They might make minimum payments on all their debts, prolonging the repayment process and paying significant amounts of interest. Or they might try to tackle all their debts at once, spreading themselves too thin and losing motivation. The final piece of this puzzle involves choosing a debt repayment strategy that aligns with your personality and financial situation. Think now, how much lighter will you feel when you are completely debt-free? What new options would become available to you? The first thing to understand is that there are two popular debt repayment methods, the debt snowball and the debt avalanche. The debt snowball method focuses on paying off the smallest debt first, regardless of interest rate, providing quick wins and building momentum. The debt avalanche method focuses on paying off the debt with the highest interest rate first, minimizing the total interest paid over time. Breaking free from debt requires a strategic and disciplined approach. Choose the right strategy and commit. Break the chains. Reclaim your future. Building on what we just uncovered, let's discuss a powerful strategy for accelerating debt repayment. Negotiating lower interest rates. Think of it as finding a hidden discount on your existing debts, saving you money and shortening the repayment period. We often see people accepting high interest rates on their debts without realizing that they have the power to negotiate. They might assume that interest rates are fixed and non-negotiable, or they might be intimidated by the prospect of contacting their creditors. The first thing to understand is that creditors are often willing to negotiate interest rates to retain customers, especially if you have a good payment history. Another critical element is to be prepared to present a compelling case for a lower interest rate. Highlight your good payment history, your credit score, and any competing offers you have received. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs accept interest rates. Pros negotiate for lower rates. Think now about the positive impact that lower interest rates would have on your debt repayment progress. Picture yourself paying off your debts faster and saving money on interest. The final piece of this puzzle involves contacting your creditors and requesting a lower interest rate. Be polite, persistent, and prepared to negotiate. Negotiating lower interest rates can accelerate debt repayment and save you significant amounts of money. Negotiate to liberate. Lower rates, faster freedom. As we move from the why into the how, let's explore the option of debt consolidation. Think of it as simplifying your financial life by combining multiple debts into a single, more manageable loan. Debt consolidation can streamline payments and potentially lower interest rates, accelerating your debt repayment journey. We often see people struggling to keep track of multiple debts, each with its own interest rate and due date. This can lead to missed payments, late fees, and increased stress. Or, individuals pay a higher total blended interest rate because they are unaware of debt consolidation options. Minutiae. The first thing to understand is that debt consolidation simplifies your financial life by reducing the number of payments you need to track. Another critical element is to carefully compare the terms and conditions of different debt consolidation options, including interest rates, fees, and repayment periods. Ensure that the consolidation will actually save you money. Before we go any further, imagine the peace of mind you would experience by having all your debts consolidated into a single, manageable loan. What actions could you take with that newfound time and energy? The final piece of this puzzle involves researching debt consolidation options and determining if it's the right strategy for you. Debt consolidation can simplify payments and potentially lower interest rates, accelerating debt repayment. Streamline to eliminate. Consolidation simplifies repayment. Let's take this a step further and demonstrate the power of making extra payments on your debts. Think of it as adding fuel to your debt repayment engine, accelerating your progress, and shortening the journey to financial freedom. We often see people making only the minimum payments on their debts, unknowingly prolonging the repayment process and paying significant amounts of interest. They might underestimate the impact of even small additional payments on the overall repayment timeline. The first thing to understand is that even small additional payments can significantly reduce the repayment timeline and the total interest paid. Another critical element is to calculate how much earlier you can pay off your debt with an extra payment, even if it's only $20 or $50. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs make minimum payments. Pros strategize and accelerate. Let's pause for a moment. Think now about how you could celebrate each debt milestone you reach. How would you reward yourself for the discipline it takes to free yourself? The final piece of this puzzle involves committing to making extra payments whenever possible. Extra payments accelerate debt repayment and save you significant amounts of money. Small extras, big impact. Accelerate your freedom. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more to debt elimination than just strategy. Let's explore the importance of cultivating a mindset shift towards debt-free living. Think of it as reprogramming your financial subconscious, aligning your thoughts and beliefs with your goal of financial freedom. We often see people approaching debt repayment as a temporary fix, without addressing the underlying beliefs and behaviors that led to debt in the first place. They might pay off their debts, only to accumulate more debt in the future. The first thing to understand is that long-term success requires a fundamental shift in your relationship with money and debt. Another critical element is to actively challenge limiting beliefs about money and debt. Replace thoughts of scarcity, fear, and overwhelm with thoughts of abundance, confidence, and control. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs tackle debt tactically. Pros transform their mindset. The final piece of this puzzle involves visualizing your life without debt. Imagine the freedom, the peace of mind, and the opportunities that would become available to you. A mindset shift towards debt-free living transforms debt repayment from a chore into a powerful and purposeful journey. Shift your mind, shift your future. Debt-free is the new free. Chapter 5. Investing for the future. Building long-term wealth. Imagine planting a seed today and watching it grow into a towering tree that provides shade and sustenance for generations. That's the power of investing. It's planting the seeds of your future wealth and watching them grow over time, providing financial security and abundance for years to come. We often see people intimidated by investing, viewing it as complex and risky. They might postpone investing, fearing losses, or feeling unsure of where to even begin. Or they assume one must already be wealthy to begin investing. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs avoid the investing process out of fear. Pros educate and engage in the process with confidence. The first thing to understand is that investing is essential for building long-term wealth and achieving financial independence. Another critical element is understanding basic investment terms like stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Let's pause for a moment. Imagine how your life will be different in 20 years if you started investing consistently today. How would this investment contribute to your dream lifestyle? The final piece of this puzzle involves understanding different asset classes, risk tolerances, and investment strategies. Investing is the cornerstone of building long-term wealth and achieving financial independence. Plant the seeds of wealth. Invest early, invest often. Building on what we just uncovered, let's talk about diversification. Think of it as building a financial ark, ensuring that your wealth is protected from the storms of market volatility. Diversification is simply spreading your investments across different asset classes, such as stocks, bonds, and real estate, to reduce risk and maximize potential returns. We often see people concentrating their investments in a single asset class, increasing their exposure to risk. They might invest heavily in a single stock, hoping for quick gains, only to suffer significant losses when the stock price declines. Or they might avoid stocks altogether, missing out on the potential for long-term growth. The first thing to understand is that diversification is essential for managing risk and protecting your investment portfolio. Another critical element is to determine your risk tolerance. Think now about what would bring you greater peace of mind, the possibility of a greater return, or the security of knowing you are unlikely to lose money. The final piece of this puzzle involves creating an investment portfolio that is diversified across different asset classes and aligned with your risk tolerance. Diversifying your investment portfolio reduces risk and maximizes potential returns, protecting your wealth from market volatility. Diversify to multiply. Protect your portfolio. Grow your wealth. As we move from the why into the how, let's explore retirement accounts. Think of them as tax-advantaged vehicles designed to help you save for your golden years. Understanding the different types of retirement accounts and their tax benefits is crucial for building a secure financial future. We often see people neglecting to take advantage of retirement accounts, missing out on valuable tax benefits, and potentially delaying their retirement. They might be intimidated by the complexity of these accounts, or they might prioritize other financial goals. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs overlook tax-advantaged accounts. Pros leverage them to accelerate wealth. The first thing to understand is that retirement accounts offer significant tax advantages, such as tax-deductible contributions or tax-free growth. Another critical element is to explore the different types of retirement accounts, such as 401(k)s, IRAs, and Roth IRAs, and determine which ones are best suited for your individual circumstances. Think now about what would bring you greater peace of mind, paying taxes now or in retirement. The final piece of this puzzle involves understanding the benefits of a Roth IRA and whether it is appropriate for your situation. Retirement accounts offer significant tax advantages, helping you save for your future. Save wisely, retire well. Leverage tax advantages. Here's where things get interesting. Let's introduce index funds and exchange-traded funds, or ETFs. Think of them as low-cost, diversified investment options that make it easy to build a well-rounded portfolio. We often see people paying high fees for actively managed mutual funds without necessarily achieving better returns than the market average. They might be unaware of the lower cost and more diversified options available, such as index funds and ETFs. The first thing to understand is that index funds and ETFs typically have lower expense ratios than actively managed funds, saving you money over the long term. Another critical element is that index funds and ETFs offer instant diversification, allowing you to invest in a broad range of stocks or bonds with a single investment. The final piece of this puzzle involves understanding the benefits of investing in ETFs. Before we go any further, imagine yourself 20 years in the future, reviewing your investment performance and seeing the positive impact of low-cost, diversified investment options. How does this make you feel? Low costs, instant diversity. Smart investing simplifies success. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more. It's time to emphasize the importance of taking a long-term perspective when investing. Think of it as planting a tree. You wouldn't dig it up every week to check on its roots, would you? Investing requires patience and discipline to allow your investments to grow over time. We often see people making emotional decisions based on short-term market fluctuations, buying high and selling low. They might panic when the market declines, selling their investments at a loss, or they might chase after the latest hot stock, only to get burned when the bubble bursts. The first thing to understand is that the stock market experiences ups and downs, but over the long term, it has historically trended upward. Another critical element is to avoid emotional decisions based on short-term market fluctuations. The final piece of this puzzle involves regularly reviewing your investment strategy and ensuring that it is aligned with your long-term goals. Taking a long-term perspective and avoiding emotional decisions are essential for successful investing. Stay the course. Build wealth. Patience is the pathway to profit. Chapter 6. Automating income. Building passive streams. Imagine a river that flows continuously, providing you with a steady stream of resources, even while you sleep. That's the power of passive income. It's generating revenue with minimal ongoing effort, allowing you to earn money while pursuing your passions or simply enjoying life. We often see people trading their time for money, limiting their earning potential, and leaving them feeling trapped in a cycle of work and exhaustion. They might be unaware of the possibilities of passive income, or they might assume that it's only for the wealthy or technologically savvy. The first thing to understand is that passive income can provide financial freedom and security, allowing you to pursue your passions and live life on your own terms. Before we go any further, imagine yourself waking up each morning knowing that you have multiple streams of income flowing in, regardless of whether you work that day or not. How does this make you feel? Another critical element is understanding that, while passive income requires initial effort, it generates revenue with minimal ongoing involvement. The final piece of this puzzle involves brainstorming potential passive income ideas that align with your skills, interests, and resources. Passive income provides financial freedom and security by generating revenue with minimal ongoing effort. Automate to liberate. Passive income, active life. With that foundation firmly in place, let's discuss real estate investing and rental income as a source of passive income. Think of it as owning a vending machine that dispenses cash every month, without requiring much ongoing effort. Real estate can be a powerful wealth-building tool, providing both cash flow and appreciation. We often see people shying away from real estate investing, viewing it as too complicated or capital-intensive. They might be intimidated by the prospect of managing tenants or dealing with property maintenance. The first thing to understand is that real estate can provide a steady stream of passive income through rental payments. Another critical element is to research the local rental market to understand demand, rental rates, and potential expenses. Here's what separates the amateurs from the pros. Amateurs see real estate investing as difficult. Pros educate themselves and find opportunities. The final piece of this puzzle involves learning the fundamentals of real estate investing, including property selection, financing, and property management. Let's pause for a moment. Think now about what you could do with the extra income generated from rental properties. How would it improve your lifestyles? Real estate investing and rental income can provide a significant source of passive income and long-term wealth. Invest in real estate. Build passive wealth. Property provides prosperity. As we move from the why into the how, let's explore creating and selling online courses or digital products to generate passive income. Think of it as packaging your knowledge and expertise into a scalable product that can be sold to a global audience. We often see people underestimating their own skills and knowledge, believing that they have nothing valuable to share with others. They might be intimidated by the technology involved in creating and selling online courses or digital products. The first thing to understand is that everyone has valuable skills and knowledge that they can share with others. Another critical element is to identify a skill or knowledge that you can share online. What is something you know how to do well, and that others would be willing to learn? What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs believe they lack expertise. Pros recognize their value and share it online. The final piece of this puzzle involves learning how to create engaging and informative online courses or digital products, and how to market them effectively. Building and selling online courses and digital products allows you to share your knowledge and generate passive income. Share your knowledge. Generate income. Expertise into equity. Here's where things get interesting. Let's introduce affiliate marketing. Think of it as becoming a virtual salesperson, earning commissions by promoting other people's products or services. You don't have to create your own products, handle inventory, or deal with customer service. Your job is simply to connect customers with valuable products. We often see people hesitating to create their own products, perhaps because they lack the time, resources, or expertise. Affiliate marketing provides a way to earn passive income without the challenges of product creation. The first thing to understand is that affiliate marketing allows you to earn commissions by promoting products that you believe in and that are relevant to your audience. The final piece of this puzzle involves researching affiliate marketing opportunities and identifying products or services that align with your values and your target audience. Another critical element is to build a website, blog, or social media following to promote affiliate products effectively. Before we go any further, imagine earning passive income by simply recommending products that you love and that you know will benefit your audience. How good does that feel? Affiliate marketing allows you to earn commissions by promoting other people's products, providing a passive income stream. Promote and profit. Affiliate marketing, passive gains. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more to passive income than just quick wins. It's time to discuss earning royalties from intellectual property, such as writing a book or creating music. Think of it as building a library of assets that generate income for you, even while you sleep. We often see people dismissing their creative talents, believing that they are not skilled enough to write a book or create music. They might be intimidated by the prospect of the creative process or the marketing challenges involved. The first thing to understand is that everyone has unique creative talents that they can develop and share with the world. The final piece of this puzzle involves exploring creative outlets for generating royalties that align with your passions and skills. Another critical element is to invest in developing your creative skills and learning the business aspects of the creative industries. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs never start. Pros pursue creative endeavors with persistence. Royalties from intellectual property can provide a long-term, passive income stream and allow you to share your creativity with the world. Create to generate. Intellectual property, perpetual income. Chapter 7. Mindset matters. Cultivating a wealth-building mentality. Imagine two gardeners. One believes there's only enough sunshine and water for a few plants to thrive, hoarding resources and fearing that others will take what's rightfully theirs. The other believes there's limitless sunshine and water, freely sharing resources and celebrating the growth of all plants. That's the difference between a scarcity and an abundance mindset. And it profoundly impacts your ability to attract wealth. We often see people sabotaging their financial success with limiting beliefs and negative thought patterns. They might believe that they're not good enough, smart enough, or lucky enough to achieve financial independence. The first thing to understand is that your mindset shapes your reality. Another critical element is to cultivate an abundance mindset, believing in limitless possibilities and opportunities. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs let limiting beliefs determine their financial destiny. Pros cultivate empowering beliefs that attract wealth. The final piece of this puzzle involves identifying and challenging any scarcity-based beliefs that you hold. It's time to consider, what do you believe is true about money? Does this belief serve you or limit you? Your mindset is the foundation upon which you build financial success. Transform your thinking, transform your wealth. Abundance attracts abundance. Building on what we just uncovered, let's discuss strategies for identifying and overcoming limiting beliefs about money. Think of it as weeding a garden, removing the negative thoughts that are preventing your financial growth. These limiting beliefs are often deeply ingrained, shaped by your upbringing, experiences, and societal conditionings. We often see people unconsciously holding on to beliefs that sabotage their financial success. They might believe that money is the root of all evil, that they're not worthy of wealth, or that it's impossible to get ahead. The first thing to understand is that limiting beliefs are simply thoughts, and thoughts can be changed. Another critical element is to challenge negative thoughts and replace them with empowering affirmations. Whenever you catch yourself thinking negatively about money, consciously reframe the thought into a positive affirmation. The final piece of this puzzle involves writing down 3 positive affirmations about money and repeating them daily. Let's pause for a moment. Imagine now that you are completely free from all limiting beliefs about money. How does that feel? What are you doing? What are you creating? Overcoming limiting beliefs empowers you to attract wealth and achieve financial success. Change your thoughts. Change your life. Empowering beliefs create wealth. As we move from the why into the how, let's explore visualization techniques. Think of it as creating a mental blueprint for your desired financial future. Visualization involves using your imagination to create vivid mental images of yourself achieving your financial goals. We often see people focusing on what they don't want instead of what they do want. They might dwell on their financial struggles, their debts, and their lack of opportunities. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs focus on problems. Pros visualize possibilities. The first thing to understand is that your subconscious mind responds to images and emotions. Another critical element is to visualize yourself achieving your financial goals. See yourself living debt-free, investing wisely, and enjoying financial freedom. Feel the emotions of gratitude, joy, and abundance. The final piece of this puzzle involves creating a vision board for your financial future. Include images that represent your financial goals, your ideal lifestyle, and your desired level of wealth. Visualization techniques empower you to attract your desired financial future. See it, believe it, achieve it. Visualize success. Realize wealth. Here's where things get interesting. Let's talk about gratitude. Think of it as watering the seeds of abundance in your life. Gratitude is simply appreciating what you already have, instead of focusing on what you lack. It's a powerful emotion that attracts more positive experiences and opportunities into your life. We often see people focusing on what they don't have, comparing themselves to others, and feeling envious of their success. They might overlook the blessings in their own lives, taking for granted the things that they already have. The first thing to understand is that gratitude shifts your focus from lack to abundance. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs focus on what they lack. Pros appreciate what they have. The final piece of this puzzle involves keeping a gratitude journal focused on your finances. Each day, write down 3 things that you are grateful for in your financial life. Another critical element is to express gratitude to others for their contributions to your financial success. Before we go any further, pause and consider the financial blessings in your life right now. What are you truly grateful for? Practicing gratitude attracts more abundance into your life and creates a positive mindset towards wealth. Gratitude unlocks abundance. Appreciate what you have. Attract what you want. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more to building a wealth-building mentality than just positive thoughts. We have to take action. Therefore, let's discuss committing to continuous learning and personal growth in the area of finance. Think of it as investing in your greatest asset, yourself. The more you learn, the more you earn. We often see people neglecting their financial education, relying on outdated information or uninformed opinions. They might be intimidated by the complexity of finance, or believe that they don't have the time or resources to learn more. The first thing to understand is that financial literacy is essential for making informed decisions and achieving financial success. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs stop learning. Pros continuously grow. The final piece of this puzzle involves identifying one financial topic you want to learn more about and taking action to educate yourself. Another critical element is to read books, attend workshops, and seek out mentors who can provide guidance and support on your financial journey. Commitment to continuous learning is essential for building a wealth-building mentality and achieving financial success. Invest in yourself. Grow your wealth. Knowledge builds fortune. Chapter 8. Financial Discipline. Mastering Self-Control. Imagine 2 travelers embarking on a journey to a distant city. One spends all their money on fleeting pleasures along the way, arriving broke and exhausted. The other saves diligently, investing in comfortable transportation and accommodations, arriving refreshed and ready to thrive. That's the difference between instant gratification and delayed gratification, and it profoundly impacts your financial success. We often see people sabotaging their financial goals with impulsive spending and a lack of self-control. They might fall victim to lifestyle creep, increasing their spending as their income rises. Or they might rack up debt on unnecessary purchases. The first thing to understand is that instant gratification can derail your financial goals. Before we go any further, consider a time when you gave in to the temptation of instant gratification. Did it truly make you happy, or did it leave you feeling regretful and disappointed? Another critical element is to practice delayed gratification, making conscious decisions to prioritize long-term financial security over short-term pleasures. The final piece of this puzzle involves identifying one area where you struggle with instant gratification and developing strategies to overcome it. Financial discipline and self-control are essential for achieving your financial goals. Delay gratification, build wealth. Discipline defines destiny. With that foundation firmly in place, let's discuss strategies to protect yourself from impulsive spending and poor financial decisions. Think of it as building a financial fortress, safeguarding your wealth from impulsive desires. These strategies are designed to create barriers between you and temptation, giving you time to think before you spend. We often see people falling prey to clever marketing tactics and persuasive sales pitches, leading them to make purchases that they later regret. They might be swayed by social pressure, keeping up with the Joneses, or they might be simply bored or stressed. The first thing to understand is that you are in control of your spending. Another critical element is to remove temptations and create barriers to impulsive purchases. The final piece of this puzzle involves unsubscribing from promotional emails. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs are easily influenced by marketing tactics. Pros consciously protect themselves from temptation. Protect yourself from impulsive spending by implementing strategies and creating barriers to temptation. Control your spending. Control your future. Protection prevents poverty. As we move from the why into the how, let's discuss implementing the 24-hour rule for non-essential purchases. Think of it as giving yourself a cooling-off period before making a decision. We often see people making impulse purchases based on emotions or fleeting desires, only to regret them later. They might be caught up in the excitement of the moment or feel pressured by sales tactics. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs act on impulse. Pros pause and reflect. The first thing to understand is that waiting 24 hours before making a non-essential purchase allows you to assess whether you truly need it or if it's just a passing desire. The final piece of this puzzle involves applying the 24-hour rule to your next non-essential purchase. When you feel the urge to buy something, make a note of it and wait 24 hours before making a decision. Now think back to the last time you made an impulse purchase. Did you still want the item 24 hours later? What else could you have done with that money? Implementing the 24-hour rule helps you avoid impulse buys and make more conscious spending decisions. Wait 24 hours. Save money now. Patience pays perpetually. Here's where things get interesting. Let's discuss developing mindful spending habits. Think of it as becoming a conscious consumer, aware of your emotions and motivations behind your purchases. It's about understanding why times you buy, not just what times you buy. We often see people spending money to fill an emotional void, to impress others, or to cope with stress. They might not be aware of the underlying reasons behind their spending habits, leading them to make impulsive and regrettable purchases. The first thing to understand is that your emotions can significantly impact your spending decisions. The final piece of this puzzle involves asking yourself why times you want to buy something before making a purchase. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs spend mindlessly, pros spend mindfully. Another critical element is to pause before your next purchase and ask yourself these questions. Am I buying this because I truly need it, or am I trying to fill an emotional need? Mindful spending habits allow you to make conscious choices and align your spending with your values and goals. Conscious spending creates conscious wealth. Mindful habits maximize money. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more to mastering self-control than just willpower. It's about understanding yourself. Therefore, let's discuss keeping track of your temptations and triggers to better understand your spending habits. Think of it as becoming a financial detective, uncovering the hidden patterns that influence your spending behavior. We often see people struggling with financial discipline without understanding the underlying causes of their overspending. They might feel like they lack willpower, but the real issue is often a lack of awareness. The first thing to understand is that identifying your temptations and triggers is the first step towards breaking free from unhealthy spending habits. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs fight temptations blindly. Pros understand their triggers. Another critical element is to identify the situations or emotions that lead to overspending. Are you more likely to overspend when you're stressed, bored, or feeling lonely? The final piece of this puzzle involves keeping a journal to track your spending triggers. Understanding your triggers empowers you to make more informed and conscious spending decisions, leading to improved financial discipline. Know your triggers. Control your spending. Awareness achieves abundance. Chapter 9. Goal setting that works. The system-based approach. Imagine two archers. One focuses solely on hitting the bullseye, becoming frustrated and discouraged when they miss. The other focuses on their stance, breathing, and release, trusting that consistent practice will lead to improved accuracy. That's the difference between outcome-based goals and process-based goals, and it profoundly impacts your financial success. We often see people setting ambitious financial goals, such as earning a certain amount of money or achieving financial independence by a certain age. They may feel overwhelmed and discouraged when they don't see immediate results. The first thing to understand is that outcome-based goals are often outside of your direct control. Now, imagine the feeling of confidence that comes from knowing you're consistently taking the right actions. What impact would that have on your financial progress? Another critical element is to shift your focus from outcome-based goals to process-based goals. Process goals are within your control and lead to consistent progress. The final piece of this puzzle involves reframing one financial goal as a process goal. Focusing on process-based goals leads to consistent progress and ultimately achieving your desired financial outcomes. Trust the process, achieve the goal. Systems secure success. Building on what we just uncovered, let's discuss translating your SMART goals into SMART systems. Think of it as designing a roadmap that guides you towards your destination. A SMART goal is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. But a SMART goal alone isn't enough. You need a SMART system to consistently take action towards your goal. We often see people setting SMART goals, but failing to create a system to support their achievement. They might know what they want to achieve, but they don't know how to get there. The first thing to understand is that a SMART goal without a SMART system is just a wish. The final piece of this puzzle involves breaking down one SMART goal into daily habits. Another critical element is to focus on the daily actions that will lead to achieving your goals. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs focus on the outcome. Pros build systems for success. SMART systems are the daily actions that lead to the achievement of your SMART goals. Systems deliver success steadily. Consistent action conquers challenges. As we move from the why into the how, let's discuss celebrating small wins. Think of it as sprinkling fertilizer on your financial garden to encourage growth. Achieving long-term financial goals can be a marathon, not a sprint. And it's easy to lose motivation along the way if you only focus on the distant finish line. We often see people setting ambitious financial goals, but failing to acknowledge and celebrate their progress along the way. They might become discouraged and give up before they reach their destination. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs neglect their victories. Pros celebrate their progress. The first thing to understand is that celebrating small wins helps maintain motivation and momentum. The final piece of this puzzle involves celebrating one recent financial win, no matter how small it may seem. Another critical element is to acknowledge and reward yourself for achieving small milestones along the way. Before we go any further, pause for a moment and think about a recent financial win, however small. How does it feel to acknowledge and celebrate your progress? Celebrating small wins helps maintain motivation and builds momentum towards achieving your financial goals. Appreciate progress, accelerate success, celebrate steps, scale results. Here's where things get interesting. Let's discuss using a habit tracker. Think of it as installing a GPS system for your financial journey, helping you stay on course and monitor your progress. It provides visual feedback on your consistency and helps you identify areas where you may be struggling. We often see people setting good intentions, but failing to consistently follow through with their daily habits. They might forget to track their progress, or lose motivation without visual feedback. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs rely on willpower. Pros use systems for accountability. The first thing to understand is that tracking your progress provides valuable insights into your habits and behaviors. The final piece of this puzzle involves starting to use a habit tracker, whether it's a physical journal, a spreadsheet, or a dedicated app. Another critical element is to track your daily habits related to your financial goals, such as saving a certain amount of money, tracking your expenses, or reading a financial book. Habit trackers provide visual feedback, keep you accountable, and help you stay consistent with your daily actions towards your financial goals. Track to triumph. Consistent tracking creates consistent cash. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more to goal achievement than just setting goals and tracking progress. Life changes, and your systems must adapt. Therefore, let's discuss continuously evaluating and adjusting your systems to optimize their effectiveness. Think of it as fine-tuning a machine to ensure it's running at peak performance. We often see people setting up systems but failing to review and adjust them as needed. They might stick with a system that's no longer working, or become discouraged when they hit a plateau. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs set and forget, pros evaluate and evolve. The first thing to understand is that your systems are not set in stone. The final piece of this puzzle involves reviewing your financial habits weekly. Another critical element is to review your habits and make adjustments as needed. If a habit isn't working, don't be afraid to change it or try something new. Continuous evaluation and adjustment are essential for optimizing your systems and achieving your financial goals. Evolve to excel. Adaptable actions always achieve. Chapter 10. Financial Networking. Building your tribe. Imagine a lone hiker struggling to navigate a challenging mountain trail versus a group of hikers supporting each other, sharing knowledge, and celebrating each other's successes. The lone hiker may eventually reach the summit, but the group will arrive faster, stronger, and with a much richer experience. This is the essence of financial networking. We often see people trying to achieve their financial goals in isolation, without the support and guidance of others. They may feel overwhelmed, discouraged, and unsure of where to turn for help. The first thing to understand is that you don't have to go it alone. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs isolate, pros collaborate. Another critical element is to surround yourself with a supportive financial community. Learn from others, share your experiences, and stay motivated. The final piece of this puzzle involves joining an online financial community, where you can connect with like-minded individuals, ask questions, and receive support. Surrounding yourself with a supportive financial community accelerates your progress and enhances your financial journey. Connect and collaborate. Community creates capital. With that foundation firmly in place, let's discuss seeking out mentors who can provide guidance and support on your financial journey. Think of it as having a seasoned guide who has already navigated the terrain you're trying to conquer. A mentor can share their experiences, offer advice, and help you avoid common pitfalls. We often see people trying to figure things out on their own, making mistakes, and learning the hard way. They might be hesitant to ask for help, or unsure of where to find a qualified mentor. The first thing to understand is that mentorship can significantly accelerate your financial progress. Another critical element is to identify potential mentors in your network. The final piece of this puzzle involves reaching out to those individuals and expressing your interest in learning from their experiences. Before we go any further, take a moment to consider who in your life embodies the financial success you aspire to achieve. What qualities do they possess that you admire? Mentorship accelerates your progress and helps you avoid common mistakes on your financial journey. Mentors magnify momentum. Guidance grants growth greatly. As we move from the why into the how, let's discuss attending financial networking events and workshops. Think of these events as fertile ground for planting the seeds of financial opportunity. We often see people isolating themselves, missing out on valuable opportunities to connect with like-minded individuals and learn from experts. They might feel shy or intimidated, or they might simply not know where to find these events. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs hide, pros connect. The first thing to understand is that financial networking events provide a unique opportunity to expand your knowledge, build relationships, and discover new opportunities. Another critical element is to research local financial workshops. The final piece of this puzzle involves taking the initiative to attend these events and actively engage with other attendees. Attending financial networking events expands your knowledge, builds relationships, and opens doors to new opportunities. Events enhance everything. Connections create compelling capital. Here's where things get interesting. Let's discuss participating in online forums and communities. Think of it as attending a global financial conference from the comfort of your own home. It allows you to connect with people from all walks of life, with varying levels of financial expertise. We often see people hesitant to engage in online discussions, fearing judgment or ridicule. They might be afraid to ask questions or share their ideas, missing out on valuable learning opportunities. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs lurk, pros participate. The first thing to understand is that online forums and communities provide a safe and supportive environment to share ideas and ask questions. Another critical element is to engage in online financial discussions. The final piece of this puzzle involves actively participating in online forums and communities. Share your knowledge, ask questions, and contribute to the conversation. Before we go any further, consider one financial question you've always wanted to ask. Imagine posting that question in an online forum and receiving helpful, insightful responses. Participating in online forums and communities expands your knowledge, builds relationships, and accelerates your financial learning. Engage eternally. Sharing sharpens success significantly. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more to financial networking than just collecting contacts. It's about building genuine relationships. Therefore, let's discuss focusing on building meaningful connections with people who share your financial goals. Think of it as cultivating a supportive ecosystem where everyone benefits. We often see people focusing on quantity over quality, collecting business cards without building genuine relationships. They might attend networking events with the sole intention of selling their services, neglecting the importance of building rapport and trust. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs count contacts. Pros cultivate connections. The first thing to understand is that meaningful connections are built on shared values, mutual respect, and a genuine desire to help each other succeed. Another critical element is to connect with one person in your network to discuss finances. The final piece of this puzzle involves reaching out to that person and scheduling a time to connect. Building meaningful connections with people who share your financial goals creates a supportive ecosystem that fosters growth and success. Connect constructively. Relationships reap rewards repeatedly. Chapter 11. Financial resilience. Adapting to change. Imagine two trees standing side by side during a powerful storm. One is rigid and unyielding, snapping under the pressure of the wind. The other is flexible and resilient, bending with the wind and weathering the storm. The same principle applies to your financial life. We often see people caught off guard by unexpected financial setbacks, such as job loss, medical emergencies, or economic downturns. They may lack a financial safety net and struggle to cope with these challenges. The first thing to understand is that life is unpredictable, and financial setbacks are inevitable. Another critical element is to build a financial safety net. The final piece of this puzzle involves reviewing your emergency fund to ensure it's sufficient to cover your essential expenses for at least 3 to 6 months. Now take a moment to envision the peace of mind that comes from knowing you have a solid financial safety net in place. How does that feel? Preparing for potential setbacks and building a financial safety net is essential for navigating life's inevitable challenges. Prepare patiently, prosper predictably. Resilience rebuilds riches readily. With that foundation firmly in place, let's explore ways to diversify your income streams. Think of it as building a financial ark, ensuring that you have multiple sources of support in case one is compromised. Relying solely on a single income source can leave you vulnerable to unexpected job loss or economic downturns. We often see people putting all their eggs in one basket, relying solely on their salary to support their lifestyle. They may not be aware of the risks associated with relying on a single income source. The first thing to understand is that diversifying your income streams reduces your reliance on a single source of income and increases your financial resilience. The final piece of this puzzle involves brainstorming additional income stream ideas. What are your skills, talents, and passions? What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs depend, pros diversify. Another critical element is to consider exploring various options, such as freelancing, consulting, starting a side business, or investing in income-generating assets. Diversifying your income streams reduces risk and increases your financial resilience, providing greater security and peace of mind. Diversify decisively. dominate downturns. Multiple moneymakers maximize millions. As we move from the why into the how, let's discuss cultivating adaptability. Think of it as becoming a financial chameleon, able to adjust your strategies to thrive in any environment. Sticking rigidly to a single plan, even when circumstances change, can be detrimental to your long-term financial success. We often see people clinging to outdated financial strategies. Even when they're no longer effective, they might be resistant to change or unwilling to adapt to new information. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs resist change, pros embrace evolution. The first thing to understand is that the financial landscape is constantly evolving, and you must be willing to adapt your plans accordingly. Another critical element is to be open to new financial strategies. The final piece of this puzzle involves cultivating a mindset of continuous learning and adaptation. Cultivating adaptability allows you to navigate changing circumstances and achieve long-term financial success. Adjust actions accordingly. Adaptability achieves absolute advantage. Here's where things get interesting. Let's discuss viewing financial mistakes as learning opportunities. Think of them as tuition fees for your financial education. Everyone makes mistakes, but the key is to learn from them and avoid repeating them. We often see people dwelling on their financial mistakes, beating themselves up, and becoming paralyzed by fear. They might be afraid to take risks or make new investments, missing out on potential opportunities for growth. The first thing to understand is that mistakes are inevitable, and they can be valuable learning experiences. Another critical element is to analyze past mistakes and identify the lessons learned. The final piece of this puzzle involves reflecting on a past financial mistake, identifying the factors that contributed to it, and determining how you can avoid making similar mistakes in the future. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs repeat errors, pros refine results. Viewing financial mistakes as learning opportunities transforms setbacks into stepping stones, leading to greater financial wisdom and resilience. Educate early. Eradicate errors. Reflection restores riches reliably. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more to financial resilience than just practical strategies. It's about mindset, therefore. Let's discuss maintaining a positive outlook. Think of it as equipping yourself with an inner compass that guides you through stormy seas. We often see people becoming discouraged and losing hope when they face financial challenges. They might focus on their weaknesses and limitations, forgetting their strengths and resources. The first thing to understand is that your mindset plays a crucial role in your ability to overcome financial challenges. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs succumb to negativity, pros seize positive outcomes. Another critical element is to focus on your strengths and resources. What are you good at? What resources do you have available to you? The final piece of this puzzle involves writing down 3 of your financial strengths. Maintaining a positive outlook and focusing on your strengths empowers you to overcome financial challenges and achieve your goals. Believe boldly. Bounce back bravely. Optimism overcomes obstacles often. Chapter 12. Wealth building habits for the future. Imagine a ship setting sail on a long voyage. The captain not only sets the initial course, but also regularly checks the ship's position, adjusts the sails, and makes course corrections as needed to stay on track. Similarly, building wealth requires ongoing monitoring and adjustments to your financial systems. We often see people setting up financial systems but neglecting to review and update them regularly. They might assume that what worked in the past will continue to work in the future, failing to adapt to changing circumstances. The first thing to understand is that your financial systems are not static. They require ongoing maintenance and optimization. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs implement and ignore. Pros inspect and improve. Another critical element is to ensure they are aligned with your goals and values. The final piece of this puzzle involves scheduling a monthly financial review. Regularly reviewing and updating your financial systems ensures that they remain aligned with your goals and values, leading to long-term wealth accumulation. Review routinely. Replenish readily. Consistent checkups construct considerable capital. With that foundation firmly in place, let's discuss automating tasks to streamline processes. Think of it as hiring a virtual assistant to handle repetitive tasks, freeing up your time and energy to focus on more important matters. In today's digital age, there are countless tools and technologies available to automate various aspects of your financial life. We often see people wasting time and energy on manual tasks that could easily be automated. They might be unaware of the available tools or hesitant to embrace technology. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs work manually. Pros manage automatically. The first thing to understand is that automation can significantly improve efficiency and reduce the likelihood of errors. Another critical element is to leverage technology to optimize your systems. The final piece of this puzzle involves setting up automatic reminders for important tasks, such as paying bills, reviewing your budget, or making investment contributions. Automation streamlines your financial processes, improves efficiency, and frees up your time to focus on building wealth. Automate actions. Accelerate achievement. Efficiency establishes escalating earnings. As we move from the why into the how, let's discuss committing to continuous learning. Think of it as sharpening your financial saw, ensuring that you're equipped with the latest knowledge and skills to make informed decisions. The financial landscape is constantly evolving, so it's crucial to stay up to date on the latest trends and strategies. We often see people relying on outdated information or making decisions based on emotions rather than logic. They might be resistant to learning new things or assume they already know everything they need to know. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs stagnate. Pros study constantly. The first thing to understand is that continuous learning is essential for long-term financial success. Another critical element is to read financial articles regularly. The final piece of this puzzle involves committing to continuous learning. Continuous learning empowers you to make informed decisions and adapt to changing circumstances, leading to long-term financial success. Learn leisurely. Leverage largely. Education elevates earnings eternally. Here's where things get interesting. Let's discuss sharing your knowledge. Think of it as becoming a financial mentor to others, solidifying your own understanding while helping them on their journey. Teaching others reinforces your own learning and deepens your understanding of the material. We often see people keeping their knowledge to themselves, missing out on the opportunity to reinforce their learning and help others. They might be afraid of sharing misinformation or feel unqualified to give advice. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs hoard knowledge. Pros help honestly. The first thing to understand is that sharing your knowledge reinforces your learning and helps others on their financial journey. Another critical element is to share your experiences with others. The final piece of this puzzle involves offering financial advice to a friend. Before we go any further, imagine a friend or family member approaching you for financial advice. What insights and guidance would you offer them based on what you've learned? Sharing your knowledge reinforces learning, builds confidence, and helps others on their financial journey. Educate effectively. Elevate everyone. Sharing sharpens success synergistically. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more to wealth than just accumulating assets. It's about legacy. Therefore, let's consider your long-term financial goals. Think of it as designing a financial monument that will stand the test of time and benefit future generations. We often see people focusing solely on short-term gains, neglecting to consider the long-term implications of their financial decisions. They might accumulate wealth without a clear purpose or plan for how they want to use it. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs focus on now, pros forecast forward. The first thing to understand is that wealth building is not just about accumulating assets. It's about creating a lasting legacy. Another critical element is to consider how you want to leave a legacy for future generations. Before we conclude, take a moment to reflect on your financial values. What principles guide your decisions? The final piece of this puzzle involves reflecting on your financial values. Considering your long-term financial goals and aligning your actions with your values allows you to create a lasting legacy that benefits future generations. Leave liberally. Live largely. Legacy lengthens lasting lessons lovingly. Chapter 13. Advanced Wealth Building Strategies. Imagine a race car driver meticulously fine-tuning their vehicle to gain every possible advantage. They understand that even small adjustments can make a significant difference in their performance. Similarly, advanced tax planning strategies can help you minimize your tax liability and maximize your wealth. We often see people paying more taxes than necessary because they're not aware of advanced tax planning strategies. They might assume that tax planning is only for the wealthy, neglecting to explore opportunities to reduce their tax burden. The first thing to understand is that taxes are a significant expense, and minimizing your tax liability is crucial for building wealth. Another critical element is to explore advanced tax planning strategies. The final piece of this puzzle involves consulting a tax professional. Advanced tax planning strategies can help you minimize your tax liability, accelerate your wealth accumulation, and achieve your financial goals. Analyze annually. Augment assets always. Taxes trimmed, treasures thrive tremendously. With that foundation firmly in place, let's explore real estate investment trusts, or REITs. Think of them as a shared ownership of a large apartment complex or commercial property, allowing you to invest in real estate without the hassles of direct ownership. REITs offer a way to diversify your portfolio and potentially generate income from real estate without the need to manage properties, deal with tenants, or handle repairs. We often see people intimidated by the prospect of investing in real estate due to the complexities and responsibilities involved. They might be unaware of alternative investment vehicles like REITs. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs fear real estate. Pros find resourceful routes. The first thing to understand is that REITs provide a liquid and accessible way to invest in real estate. Another critical element is to research REITs. The final piece of this puzzle involves taking the time to understand the different types of REITs, their performance history, and their risk profiles before investing. REITs offer a diversified and accessible way to invest in real estate without the direct ownership responsibilities. Review REITs. Reap rewarding returns. Real estate riches realized resourcefully. As we move from the why into the how, let's discuss angel investing and venture capital. Think of them as backing the next big thing, providing capital to promising startups with the potential for high growth. These investment avenues are for those with a higher risk tolerance due to the inherent uncertainty and illiquidity associated with early-stage companies. We often see people chasing quick riches without fully understanding the risks involved in high-growth investments. They might be swayed by the potential for massive returns, neglecting to conduct thorough due diligence. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs gamble globally, pros guide gradually. The first thing to understand is that angel investing and venture capital are high-risk, high-reward investments. Another critical element is to read articles about angel investing. The final piece of this puzzle involves approaching these investments with a long-term perspective and a willingness to accept potential losses. Angel investing and venture capital can offer the potential for high returns, but require a high risk tolerance and a thorough understanding of the investment landscape. Analyze acutely. Amplify assets assuredly. Adventures advance astute affluence always. Here's where things get interesting. Let's discuss the importance of estate planning. Think of it as writing the final chapter of your financial story, ensuring that your assets are distributed according to your wishes and that your loved ones are taken care of. Estate planning involves creating legal documents, such as wills and trusts, to outline how your assets will be managed and distributed after your death. We often see people procrastinating on estate planning, assuming they have plenty of time or that it's only necessary for the wealthy. They might be unaware of the potential consequences of dying without a will or trust. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs avoid after planning. Pros architect after action. The first thing to understand is that estate planning is essential for everyone, regardless of their net worth. Another critical element is the creation of wills and trusts. The final piece of this puzzle involves consulting an estate planning attorney. Proper estate planning ensures that your assets are distributed according to your wishes, minimizing taxes and providing for your loved ones. Order openly. Obtain outstanding outcomes. Legacy lives lavishly, lovingly, legally. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's more to advanced wealth building than just accumulation. It's about contribution. Therefore, let's discuss charitable giving strategies. Think of it as aligning your financial resources with your values and making a positive impact on the world. We often see people neglecting charitable giving because they're focused solely on their own financial needs. They might be unaware of the tax benefits associated with charitable donations. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs amass wealth selfishly. Pros apportion wealth selflessly. The first thing to understand is that charitable giving can be both personally fulfilling and financially advantageous. Another critical element is to support causes you care about. The final piece of this puzzle involves donating to a charity. Charitable giving allows you to support causes you care about while potentially reducing your tax burden, creating a win-win situation. Allocate altruistically. Attain abundant accolades. Generosity generates greatness gloriously. Chapter 14. Conclusion. Your wealth-building journey starts now. Imagine planting a seed. You water it, nurture it, and patiently wait for it to grow. You don't expect to see a fully grown tree overnight. Wealth building is similar. It requires consistent effort and patience over time. The journey to financial success is a marathon, not a sprint. We often see people starting enthusiastically but losing momentum along the way. They might become discouraged by setbacks or distracted by other priorities. The first thing to understand is that consistent action is the key to achieving your financial goals. Another critical element is to remember that small, daily habits lead to significant results over time. The final piece of this puzzle involves committing to one action today. Let's pause here for a moment. What specific financial action will you commit to today, right now, after hearing this? Taking consistent action, even in small increments, is essential for building wealth and achieving financial success. Act avidly. Achieve ascension assuredly. Consistent commitment constructs considerable capital continuously. With that foundation firmly in place, let's reiterate the key principles for building a sustainable financial future. Remember the power of budgeting, the importance of investing, the need for financial resilience, and the value of continuous learning. However, knowing the principles is only half the battle. We often see people relying solely on willpower to achieve their financial goals. They might start strong but eventually succumb to temptations or lose motivation. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs want wealth wildly, pros weave wealth wisely. The first thing to understand is that systems are far more effective than willpower for long-term success. Another critical element is to focus on systems, not willpower. The final piece of this puzzle involves creating a vision for your financial future. Establishing strong financial systems, rather than relying solely on willpower, ensures consistent progress toward a sustainable financial future. Systemize steadily, succeed surely. Order overcomes obstacles outstandingly often. As we move from the why into the how, let's discuss embracing the process. Think of it as enjoying the journey, not just focusing on the destination. The path to wealth building is not always smooth. There will be ups and downs, challenges and successes. It's important to appreciate the progress you make along the way and learn from any setbacks you encounter. We often see people becoming discouraged or frustrated when they don't achieve immediate results. They might focus on their failures rather than celebrating their successes. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs lament losses largely. Pros leverage lessons learned. The first thing to understand is that wealth building is a process, not a destination. Another critical element is to focus on progress, not perfection. The final piece of this puzzle involves celebrating your progress. Embracing the process and celebrating your progress allows you to enjoy the journey of wealth building and stay motivated along the way. Progress patiently. Prosper perpetually. Joy journeys jointly, justly, jubilantly. Here's where things get interesting. Let's emphasize the importance of continuing to learn and grow. Think of it as constantly upgrading your financial operating system, ensuring you have the latest knowledge and strategies to succeed. The world of finance is ever evolving, and staying informed is crucial for making sound decisions. We often see people becoming complacent after achieving a certain level of financial success. They might stop learning and fail to adapt to changing market conditions. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs arrest advancement abruptly. Pros acquire acumen agilely, always. The first thing to understand is that continuous learning is essential for long-term financial success. Another critical element is to recommend resources for further learning. The final piece of this puzzle involves subscribing to a financial newsletter. Continuing to learn and grow in the area of finance ensures you remain adaptable, informed, and well-equipped to achieve your financial goals. Advance always, achieve all. Education empowers escalating earnings eternally. While that covers the essentials, seasoned professionals know there's one thing left: action. We often see people armed with knowledge but hesitant to take the first step. They might feel overwhelmed or unsure where to begin. What separates the amateurs from the pros is that amateurs accept analysis afterward. Pros apply action afterward. Let's review your key takeaways: budgeting, investing, financial resilience, continuous learning, and legacy. The first thing to understand is that the journey to wealth building begins with a single step. Another critical element is to commit to implementing one new habit. The final piece of this puzzle involves taking that first step today. Implement immediately. Improve increasingly. Action amplifies achievement abundantly always.